Alright, though, last video before I get to work here. So, it's been a tumultuous 2 days. I broke Big Bad John, and then I spent an inordinate amount of time struggling to get the job done with the wrong tools, and ultimately the cost was extremely high. I should have come at this knowing everything that I needed to know. So I think the best way to learn is actually through either somebody telling you step by step how they did it and what they did wrong, and then kind of showing you, or by doing it wrong yourself. So let's help you guys do the former. So the John Deere tires, the back ones at least, you do not want to let air out of these things if they're not off the ground completely. And even then, you might run into some problems. I had this guy off the ground all but a tiny little strip in the middle. I could actually turn the tire, but it was touching the ground. I thought, we're still good. I've got it in the air. It's just a little bit of ground touching, but apparently that was enough to fold the tire slightly and allow it to gap away from the wheel. And obviously you don't want that if you're playing with a tire, because if it comes off that wheel, it breaks the bead, as it's called, and you have now a nightmare on your hands. If this was a regular car tire, it's not so bad. I've actually taken them and put a wheel in a tire, and you know, getting it to seat on the bead, not a huge deal. This thing is a different story. It's a very big tire. You do not want to have to jerk this thing into the trunk of your car if you don't have a truck like me, because you sold it so that you could get a grocery getter, an electric one. You know, the plan is eventually to get either a fleet model truck or the Cybertruck and just replace the thing outright. You're fine. I'm not replacing you. I've actually had these things completely flat. They didn't break the bead. Everything was fine. I got a nail or some other form of metal stuck into one of these tires here, and I managed to, well, get my brother over here, and he fixed the leak, and then I was able to get the tire back up off the ground. We were good to go. These guys, I do not want to deal with those again. It was actually this tire right here, and look at that. We're looking good. Nice and solid. We're on the bead. We're doing well. It is I believe it was a 22 millimeter socket to take those bolts off if you need to, if you're looking to add air to your tire. The proper way to do it is, first of all, to get your tire completely off the ground. I would doubly, triply make sure that you don't have an Alaric in your way. Come on, buddy, out of the way. You need a stem puller. You're going to want to put it all the way up on the top there. That way you can get the most amount of water in. And then once you do that, these tires weigh, I believe it was about 300 pounds more than they normally do. Or maybe that's just adding 300 pounds to it. I'll have to check my references on that. I actually don't care. It's going to happen. It's set in stone. It's going to get water in those tires. You still are going to want some more ballast, especially if you're working with things like that. Not that, but that. I'm going to try to fill this bucket up with that. Moving around, the whole reason that we did this is because I finally got a tooth bar. Now, if you own a tractor, first, you're going to need one of these. These small tractors, and probably even the very big ones, they don't have the power to drive a solid line bucket into the ground. If you want to do that, you need heavy equipment. I'm not even 100% sure that a Bobcat could do that, because those buckets they just come with teeth like this. For whatever reason, John Deere sells them like this. Now, the only thing that I could possibly see you just using a flat bucket like this is if you're only handling material in piles, already piled. But how are you going to get it piled? You need to dig. So that's one. And then I can also see snow. And I don't know very much about that. I did grow up somewhere that was exceedingly cold and did snow, but I do not live in an area that snows. This is winter. I'm wearing a one of those, what do you call them, the shirts that help you stay cool. I'm wearing that outside in a t-shirt, and it's January. It doesn't get cold here. And that's what my dog's doing. A squirrel comes by. So you're going to need something like this. And there's a lot of options online, and I weighed them. I was looking at this one initially just because it looks so aggressive. I like that. That's really cool. It's this insane, like, upside down party on thing going on, and they're huge. If you've ever seen these things, I mean, I can pull a basketball. This is what my hand looks like holding onto it. They're incredible. Then I thought, there's really no reason for me to get that, because that looks like that's for digging. And so I was looking at the Piranha bar and what's the other one? The Wicked tooth bar. I was looking at, wait, no, I think that's what this is. Oh man, now this is the Heavy Hitch tooth bar. I actually don't know what the other one is, and they have the sharpened edge to them, and from talking to people online, that seems like that's what you want if you're digging in soil. This guy here does that too, but apparently it's very good for prying rocks out of the ground, which is absolutely what I'm planning to do. And that kind of sealed the deal for me. I saw that on Tractor by Net or Green Tractor Talk. I was rummaging through the forums before I bought a $500 tooth bar. And this guy here is one of the more expensive ones, I believe. And it sounds like it's worth it, and it looks like it too, because not only is this thing just wickedly thick, you have these little pins, and it looks like you can replace the teeth, and that's huge for me. This thing has a capability, as long as Heavy Hitch is always around, of always allowing me to replace one of these teeth. And I can tell you right now that there's probably, hey, enough. Goodness. There's probably a very, very high chance, 50, 60, 70%, that I'm going to break this thing today, because that's kind of my track record so far. I bent up teeth on the hoe bucket. I've removed most of the powder coating and the slick guard on the pallet fork frames. It's got this little like stuff that they've put on the powder coating to help move the forks around. I've straightened out the forks. They used to have kind of an up angle, I guess, as forks do, and now they have almost, I think they're pretty straight now, maybe slightly turned down. So that's a thing. So yeah, things that I've learned about the tractor so far. You need a tooth bar. You need ballast. You need every pound of ballast that you can possibly get on there. Water in the tires, beet juice if you live somewhere where it freezes constantly and stays frozen. You're going to want to do things with your tractor. If you're going to do them yourself, you're going to want to do them from the position of already having the tools and knowing what you need to do. I like to do things by the book, but I fudged a little bit, didn't have the jack stands and whatnot, and it cost me a day. And the cost of buying jack stands, but I probably should have had those anyway. And it's probably going to cost me an air compressor, because I want to have that air on demand. So yeah, you are definitely going to want to invest in those things if you're new to tractors. It's all told, it's probably $1,000 worth of stuff. The tooth bar was $300 or $400. I think it was just into the low 400s. The Heavy Hitch, you can get ones that hold weight brackets for probably the $100 to $200 range. I went all the way up to about $350 for mine. It's more robust, and it's the Super Duty version, because I do want to try that ripper out on the driveway here. I know I've got some pretty good sized rocks in here, and I just want to see if I can flip them out with a ripper alone and from going this direction while driving, because that's where a tractor is strong. So yeah, Just those things, and you will be fine. Make sure you grease often and tip your waitress.